before I get in with talking about Appetite for Love, I just want to talk about how gorgeous the poster is. Hallmark films always have really beautiful marketing material, but the poster for Appetite for Love completely hooked me in. And I just think that marketing and poster artwork and DVD artwork, they never get enough credit. Despite the fact they play a big role in drawing us to films we hadn't previously heard of, Appetite for Love looked delicious, and I enjoyed it. It's not my favourite Hallmark. The protagonists, our romantic leads, are not perfect, but I still had fun with it. It was released in 2016, directed by David McKay, written by Damon Todd Hill and Howard Chesley, and this stars Taylor Cole as Mina and Andrew W. Walker as Clay. I actually sought this out because Andrew W. Walker is in it, one of my favourite Hallmark actors. Quite excited to see what he was like in this. And actually, annoyingly, to begin with, I didn't like Clay as a character, which is a shame because it's very rare that I don't like an Andrew W. Walker protagonist. But Clay, it took a bit of time. It took a bit of time for me to get to like Clay. Mina I never really cared for, but I didn't dislike her. She's just not one of my favourite Hallmark leading ladies. She's an interesting enough character. She works for a company that's bought out this chain of Hart restaurants. She has to go back to her small hometown to help with the taking over of the management of this restaurant. It just so happens that this restaurant is now owned by her high school boyfriend. Of course it is. It's a Hallmark film. And while Clay is rejecting all of the things that he has to agree to with this restaurant takeover, there are also old feelings that are being unearthed. Will they be able to put the past behind them and move forward with the management, or will the restaurant be threatened by animosity? I'm not going to say what happens, but I will say it is a Hallmark film. It is predictable. It's exceptionally predictable. The only thing that I hadn't predicted was Clay's character and how, I don't want to say unreasonable he is, but basically, to explain this a little bit, the restaurant was previously owned by his father. His father sold the rights to the management for the restaurant to this company, but unfortunately he passed away 3 months prior to when this is set. So Clay took over the restaurant, but the contract had already been signed, so Clay technically has to agree to everything Mina suggests, but he refuses to do that, even though it's a legally binding contract. So I got a little bit annoyed at how self-righteous he was being. He felt entitled to still do things his way, even though it was legally binding after his father had signed the contract. So I kind of thought, well, it's just one of those things you have to get on with. But actually, there are some surprising changes to the restaurant. It does go back and forth a bit. The restaurant menu is played around with far too much for my liking. They should have just held it back a bit and then, towards the end, revealed what they were actually going to do with it. I think they made too many changes too frequently. But aside from that, it was nice. It was okay. I thought the relationship between Mina and Clay was interesting to watch. I was curious to learn about their past. It gave us some really good character development. The location we could have seen more of. It's set in this little town, quite a popular place for a Hallmark film, a little town where everybody's like family and it's really close-knit. But I didn't really ever feel like I knew the town. Some of the people, yes, but the town, it didn't take on an identity of its own, which they often do in Hallmark films. So I think they could have done a little bit more with that to give us a better understanding of what this restaurant meant to people. But in all, it was a nice narrative, very well executed for the most part. Characters that were not unlikable. Brilliant casting. Gorgeous poster marketing artwork that drew me to it. Ultimately, worth watching. I can't complain.